Welcome back, guys, to the video. And today we will be diving right into the first part of Housewives of Atlanta Season 16 Reunion Part 1. Now, I still don't know why we need three parts to this reunion because I felt like everything that was discussed in the first part, the next part should just really be about the husbands or the husbands that are remaining, to basically be brought out and they discussed pretty much that part. But I don't know exactly seeing what the third part will be about because we don't have Brit, we don't have Kenya. So why do we need three parts to this season? I don't know. But we're gonna dive right into the reunion. So we started off where it shows the ladies getting ready. We all saw where they saw that Brit wasn't there. Some thought that she was just maybe late. But then we saw where they went out onto the stage, and that's when they found out that she was not there. And the ladies basically said that, well, according to Porsha, she said she spoke to her the night before. It sounded like she was still coming. And as we heard the day off when the reunion was being filmed was that she literally up until the last minute she was planning to go to the reunion, but then she decided not to go for whatever reason, and I still do not know the reason why she would have bowed out, but that's for her story to tell. um the ladies looked good except for Phaedra, you look a mess. And I think maybe when I saw the pictures I already knew that you look a mess, but when I was thinking that, okay, maybe when we see the actual you sitting and moving, let's see, but it's just still not hitting. And then she's saying the reason why she did the whole headpiece thing was a whole thing for a jab, and I'm just saying, like, it was not what you thought it would be. It looks a mess, it looks heavy, and at some points during it, I was wondering if I was hearing it every time she moves her head. It's like you're hearing some noise, and I was like, "Oh my god, could a producer or someone just told her to just take that shit off her head because it's interfering with the mic?" Because I don't see what was the vision when she thought about doing that, because it does not look good. Um, So we somewhat got into Portia's lack of storyline, where it shows that she was going through a divorce, and I think Andy asked Kelly if her asking Portia why did she steal that lady's husband, if it was shady or she was genuinely concerned. Kelly said she was concerned. I honestly feel like it was shady, but also it was a question that we the viewers wanted to know, because she gave her a little PR response as to why when it happened at the time, but she was not necessarily, she bowed out of the show basically, so she was not necessarily get held to the fire in regards to that. So we still to this day don't necessarily got a actual response. She kind of played with it, saying that, well, she took them and then she sent them back or something like that. But I don't, the thing with Portia is I feel like she needs to just own her wrongs, and I think the audience will actually take her seriously, because I think sometimes she plays too much into character and she lies a lot and then she deflects a lot, and it's like at some point it becomes boring. Like there's nothing there. It's just the same lies, and then when you're caught in your lies, it's like you're kind of cheeky with it and make it seem like it's whatever because that's her personality. And I think we sometimes just forgive her and let her get away with stuff like that. But honestly speaking, we didn't really get much from Portia this season. And I know some might have to do with the whole Simon of it all, but maybe it's how I view reality shows. If you signed on to come on to showcase your marriage and the marriage fell apart before you started filming, there is so much I think she could have dived into without actually maybe really going into details with Simon if she could not mention or say anything regarding him. But I just felt like she really wanted to come onto the show to brag about her stealing someone's husband allegedly, and basically showcasing the lavish lifestyle she has and what's going on. And I don't think even if she was still married and it came on and she came on the way how she wanted to, I at some point would feel like, okay, what else are you giving Portia? because to see you just showcasing how nice your life is and everything, like what else are you giving us? What personal story are you giving us? So for her to be going through a divorce, which for her, yes, it's sad. I do not sympathize. I'm so sorry with her because of the whole way she got with Simon. But at the same time, I'm just saying to myself is what else could you give? Because yes, you couldn't speak about Simon, but we need something more. And rightfully, as Drew said, her season debut or premiere or whatever, her big return was a flop because she ran away from conversations with Drew, and we can see why because she had nothing else to talk about. So she felt like if she maybe closed that beef early on in the season, then there was nothing else to discuss. And her getting up and hugging Drew, I was like, okay, that's a nice approach, but at the same time, I looked at it and I said, okay, that's kind of a deflecting because I think Andy asks what was her thoughts now, seeing that when she looks back on the season, Drew wasn't doing anything malicious with Dennis, and her just getting up to hug Drew. I felt like you did not necessarily respond. I think you just got up and apologized because you saw like pretty much egg was on your face and you just felt like, oh, the audience ripped you apart because you made no sense this season with this whole beef with Drew. And it's like, no, you're just getting up and hugging her and apologize when a couple of weeks or prior times on your YouTube channel and discussing the show and everything, there was no sort of apology, no sort of remorse, no sort of accountability. So for you to now be at the reunion and be like, oh, you're going through your healing journey and you're in a different place, and all of a sudden now you wanted to apologize or hug her, it was just to me like if I was Drew, I would just say, girl, get away from me because you dragged this shit throughout the entire season. Drew did not drag this shit because there were multiple times, as we saw, where Drew tried to have a conversation with her early on, and we had to wait till like episode 11 or 12 to finally get a friggin' sit down between the two of them, and that sit down went nowhere. So it was to me an unnecessary drama which should not have lasted an entire season. But let's see how long they keep seeing that they hugged and whatever. Let's see how long this lasts. If it will, hopefully, if Drew is back, it will trickle into season 17 to see what that dynamic would be like. Because to me, it was just foolish. We kind of touched on Kelly, and she was also saying, and this is why Britt wasn't there now, so it's kind of hard to really understand the situation. Where she touched on the whole issue with Britt regarding her team, and I felt that somewhat same way. Like, okay, if I'm assisting you with something, I'm assisting you with something. It doesn't mean that I want you down to two. Basically, I don't care if you're paying for them as well, but for you to take the entire team for the girl and then play in her face and act like it's because of jealousy, yeah, that doesn't sit well with me. I don't think it was a sense of jealousy. I just felt like I don't know if you guys ever have persons in your life where you have a group of friends. Let's look at it that way. Like you have a group of friends, and then you have a friend who doesn't necessarily know those groups of friends. And we all went out and have drinks, and they met those group of friends. And then weeks going afterwards, you're finding out that said friend that you brought into the group of friends just for that one night of drinks is now messaging and reaching out to these friends outside of you, and also trying to go out and also pretty much without you and create this circle around you basically. As so it's like you're basically like they're taking your friends pretty much, and they're going out and you weren't invited, you weren't whatever, and you were the reason why you know these people. And I think that's how maybe Kelly saw it, where I introduce you as an assistant. Just like if you bring your friend to your other group of friends because maybe they were low or down and they wanted to go out, and you say, hey, let's come have drinks. I'm having drinks with some of my friends and whatever. You do not think that the person will then want to hire or take your entire team. And I think that's how Kelly sees it. I know some persons see it like, girl, it's just a glam team. What's the big deal? But I think it's more of a principle. Like, why would you do something like that? And don't throw it back in my face when I was actually assisting or helping you, for you to not look a hot ass mess on the show, and then you're gonna throw it back on me to say that I'm jealous because maybe they are styling you better than how they style me, and whatever it is. I just felt like this situation could have been played differently, but because Brit doesn't, as you saw, where she doesn't get along with females, and as you see, she doesn't necessarily have the capability to actually, comprehend or actually read the room, as she loves to say. I feel like she as well probably escalated this beef for no reason and not necessarily see where her friend Kelly was coming from. And that is sad, but I think that it's for the best because we saw how Brit easily goes low. So I don't think that that friendship is something that Kelly should feel like she missed a friendship or she needs to repair that friendship, because honestly, I don't think it was a friendship in the beginning. And I felt like it was just as they put it on the show, it was all an alliance. And clearly the alliance fell apart. And what she did, she went to Porsha and made it seem like they wanted to all gang up against Porsha. And this is where we see where Brit just feels like, I think her not showing up to the reunion and doing what she's doing, I know potentially more likely being blacklisted from this platform. I think that's for the best, because this girl seems like she is mental, and she feels like, I feel like she would just create more chaos on chaos as time goes on if she was still on this platform. So it's kind of good that she's no longer on our TV screens. And after this season and the potential new season, no one will really remember Brit. But for now, because the season is currently going on, of course, her name will be a topic of conversation. We then got into the whole Angela and Phaedra. And this is why I said I don't know why we need three parts, because we already getting into what the real dramas were this season. We got into those two, and Angela had her receipts to say that apparently some cousin, I don't really know the story. I just feel like, honestly, I felt like, yes, Phaedra did it, but people are going to protect her because, according to her, she has a guaranteed contract to return next season. So they're going to do whatever, because if she did what she did with Candy and they brought her ass back, I don't feel like going up against Phaedra is even at this point necessary or worth your time, Angela, because obviously the network or whoever is going to protect her ass for whatever reason, because I don't know what they think she necessarily brings to the show, because she doesn't really show her personal life. And all she does is give his face and one liners that I'm sure is rehearsed. And if that's what y'all want, I'm sure you can hire anybody off the street to do that. So I don't know what's the draw when it comes on to Phaedra. And I do love some Phaedra at some points, but I still don't see what is her allure, basically why persons feel like she's needed for the show. Don't know. And I think the most time we really get a good out of Phaedra was Kenya. I think Kenya pulled that out of Phaedra. I think if Kenya was not on the show, Phaedra wouldn't be necessarily needed, because before Kenya joined the show, I don't really remember any iconic moments regarding Phaedra other than the one time at the reunion. And again, that's the thing. She needs someone to pull that out of her, like when Nene and her at the reunion, or when the girls were asking her about her due dates, and that was like a moment. But other than that, before Kenya joined the show, I don't remember Phaedra being anything that's whatever. I think once Kenya joined the show and the whole Apollo of it all happened, that is when we somewhat got somewhat of an activated Phaedra. But what else are you going to give us? Because you don't have Kenya on the platform. So you're just going to, and it was the same thing she did on Married to Medicine. She was on that show and she brought nothing. She was just there as a friend off, and it fell flat. And then she just disrespected her the ladies to jump back over onto Housewives. And I don't know what is the excitement when it comes on to Phaedra Parks. I honestly don't know. What else am I missing was discussed? They brought out Cynthia because Brit wasn't there. The couch over there was looking lonely, so they brought out Cynthia. She was just there. They talk about her being the best friend of the whatever, and I'm like, honestly, I'm just sick and tired of Cynthia. I'm just tired of sometimes her ways where she tends to play Switzerland too much, when sometimes I feel like she always choosing sometimes the wrong side of history. And I just don't like sometimes where I think even on Watch What Happens Live, there were I think it was her and someone else, and they were asking questions, and for the life of her she could not pick us, she couldn't, because she loves to place. And I feel like behind closed doors, behind camera, she actually has an opinion. But for some reason, it's like she comes on camera and she just always wants to play it safe. She always wants to act as if like she doesn't know, or she's cool with everybody. And I feel like anybody who is cool with everybody is not a really a friend to anyone. But I digress. Um we pretty much see where we're going into next episode, which I'm glad they did address. I was shocked they said it, but I'm glad they did. When they mentioned the statement from Brit and the statement from Kenya, we all knew Kenya's statement was her that she wasn't invited, blah blah blah. And maybe Andy will address that once he reads the statement out loud. The Brit statement, we all saw where she stated that she's not showing up, and pretty much the pictures weren't her, whatever the case might be. So I guess when she reads that, we'll hear what the ladies' thoughts were, because they were all at the hair salon and they all pretty much confirmed that it was her that was on the poster board. So with her statement and him reading it, I'm hoping he actually reads it and to say that there was a statement and it fell flat. I do hope he reads the statement and then hear the latest responses to that, because I don't think we necessarily got any actual interviews with any of these ladies where someone asked them about the whole statement from her saying it wasn't her and what their thoughts were. So it would be nice to see what their feeling or feedback is when it comes on to that. But other than that, the reunion was a nice, fast-paced reunion. Maybe next week I will see why maybe we need a part three. Not sure if they're using the part three for the husbands, or we're going to get the husbands, as we said, like the ending of part two, where we have Charles who's going to read the lonely side of the couch for filth. But I don't see anything else. What's else to be discussed when it comes on to this? But let me know, guys, in the comment section your thoughts were on the reunion. Do you think there needs for part three? Do you think part two should be the last part? Because if there was going to be a three part, I think the third part should have been like a sit down with Kenya or something. But let me know, guys, in the comment section your thoughts. Remember to like the video and to subscribe to the channel. And I catch you guys in the next video. Bye, y'all.